And good morning. It's an honor for me to preach this morning and to share comments about our call to be priestly people. I must admit to being humbled to discuss this topic in the presence of our ordained priests, who are shining examples of how to respond to God's priestly call. The call to be priestly people is a call to serve, not a call based on a sense of obligation or duty, but a call based on compassion and a desire to be in union with Christ. How do we experience God's call to service? Here are a couple examples of how others have experienced the call to be priestly people. Many of us are familiar with the work of Sister Mary Scullion, who has ministered to unsheltered individuals in Philadelphia for over 50 years. Recently, I attended an event at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, an event in which she was asked about her vocation to work with the homeless. She recounted that when planning her retreat in preparation to make final vows in the Sisters of Mercy, she asked to do the retreat in a homeless shelter. This is really unusual. She explained to her superiors that being with and serving the needs of unsheltered people is where she experienced most fully the grace of God. Many of you may also have heard of the late Father Michael Doyle, who served in Sacred Heart Parish in South Camden, New Jersey for almost 50 years. Father Michael was well known as an anti-war protester in the late 1960s, but he had his greatest impact as pastor in one of the poorest neighborhoods in the United States. When asked why he remained in the same parish in Camden for so long, which was really unusual, his response was simply, "I serve as priest to the people of Sacred Heart to nurture my soul, to save my soul." The Gospels present a compelling set of stories about Jesus as Savior of people living on the margins. Jesus was moved with compassion when encountering the sick, the deaf, the blind, and those with mental illness. Being in communion with the vulnerable enabled Jesus to experience most completely the power and love of God. The call to serve is not merely a call to be kind and charitable. As Greg Boyle puts it, the call to be priest is a call to journey in kinship with, to embrace. It's a call to affirm the sacred in the human, to serve others so they can experience their sacredness and know they participate in the divine family. Do you believe in miracles? As priestly people, our response is a resounding yes. The call to priesthood is a call to be servant leaders, to be catalysts for transformation and healing. As priestly people, we are vehicles through which God works miracles in the world. As expressed in the remarkably humble message that Jesus spoke to Philip in the Gospel, "Whoever believes in me will speak the words I speak and do the works I do, and will be able to do even greater ones than these." Wow. Can that really be true? Can this really be true? Transformation, that is miracles, happen in full communion with others. In communion we are transformed and others are transformed. Communion is intimate sharing, being vulnerable with each other. Sharing our humanity and affirming the humanity of others enable us to participate in divinity. This is the secret sauce of our priestly power. So we say, who are we to be priests? Who are we to be catalysts for transformation? We have so many limitations. We are so human. Yet, as Paul describes in the second letter of the Corinthians, and Henry Nouwen eloquently stated in The Wounded Healer, our vulnerabilities are actually the tools of our priesthood, a source of extraordinary strength. It is precisely in and through our vulnerabilities, in the places we are weak, where we have been wounded and have experienced God's healing, that we derive the power to transform and heal. Our humanity, shared in communion with others, enables us to participate in the divinity. As an example, recall the encounter Marianne Geske had with her sister a few weeks ago. Sharing our humanity, being vulnerable with others, affirming the humanity of others, inviting them to share their humanity. These are sacramental encounters, unique experiences of God's love and power. As priestly people, we are committed to be sensitive to the needs of those who are vulnerable in our midst. Priesthood involves serving individuals and communities, and it involves working to remove systemic, that is, economic, political, and sociological barriers that prevent people from embracing their humanity. It involves calling out injustice and advocating for policies and programs that promote justice and equity for every single one of God's sacred people. As priestly people, we are committed to be sensitive to the needs of those who are vulnerable in our midst. Children, disabled, the poor, the mistreated and abused, those with chronic health and mental health conditions, those who are hungry and homeless, and so many others. We are committed to examining policies and practices at the local, state, and national levels that push the vulnerable to the margins and enable the privileged to exploit them. As priestly people, we need to do whatever we can to promote sacredness in humanity. For unsheltered individuals, why is there such a shortage of affordable housing? Why does the gap in wealth between the very rich and the working poor continue to grow? For children, why is there such inequity in who gets a good education? Why are we reducing funding for programs that educate students from under-resourced communities? For immigrants, why are we so intolerant of them? Why do we strip them of their humanity? Why do we ignore the value they bring to our country and communities? For women, why do we allow insidious forms of sexism to continue? Why do we continue to protect men in power who victimize women? For individuals in the LGBTQ+ community, why are people so threatened to allow them to be the persons they strive to be? Why do we try to impose restrictions on their health and well-being? There are so many ways that systems of power dehumanize others, prevent them from realizing their sacredness. Our call to be priestly people is a challenging one. There is so much to do, and we can only do so much. Our weaknesses seem to keep piling up as we get older. Of course, God understands all of this and loves us completely in our humanity. As mentioned before, it is through our weaknesses and vulnerabilities, through our humanity, that we derive the power to serve, lead, and heal. It is through the transforming power of God's love for us in all we are and all we do that enable us to be powerful witnesses to the sacred within the human.